All right, so you've all made your predictions about what will happen when you mix those 6 different liquids together. And here's where we're going to find out. All right, I'm going to start with the corn syrup because that's the most dense. And you can see as I pour this, corn syrup is a very thick, viscous liquid. It's very sweet. It's a syrup that has basically, it takes the sugars, the fructose from corn, and it's put into this liquid. You can see I have a clear liquid on the bottom. Next up is the Dawn dish soap. It's a little less dense than the corn syrup. Corn syrup has a density of about 1.3 grams per milliliter. And I'm using grams per milliliter because we're talking about liquids. If I were talking about a solid, I would use gram per cubic centimeter. All right, so I'm going to pour on the Dawn dish soap. And you can see that the dish soap floats on the corn syrup because it is less dense. Next up is water. Oh, I need some water. I'm going to pause this for a second while I get some water. All right, so I'm going to pour the water in here, and I'm going to go really slowly because the water and the dish soap will mix together. It's kind of unavoidable, but if I go slow, I can minimize that mixing. Sometimes in chemistry, you just have to be really patient. You just have to take things slow. Okay, so let's see what's happening here. So I've got 3 layers. I got the corn syrup on bottom, the dish soap in the middle, and then a thin layer of water. Now the water now has a bluish tinge because there's some mixing with the dish soap. I'm going to make that water layer a little bit thicker. All right, so water has a density of 1.00 grams per milliliter. It's a little less dense than the dish soap, so it floats on the dish soap. And now we have 3 distinct layers: corn syrup on bottom, dish soap in middle, water on top. Next up is the vegetable oil. This has a density of about 0.9 grams per milliliter. So this should float on the water. And it does. So now I have 4 distinct layers. Next up is the rubbing alcohol. Rubbing alcohol has a density of about 0.85 grams per milliliter. So it's a little less dense than the vegetable oil, and it should float on the vegetable oil. Now I'm going to go really slow here because if I go too fast, the rubbing alcohol will mix in with the other stuff. So I'm going to take it slow so that it's hitting the surface of the vegetable oil slowly. All right, and now you can see what's happening is there's a red layer on top. All right, so this is just rubbing alcohol that you can buy at Hannaford, Rite Aid, Walgreens, wherever. And I added some food coloring into it so you can see it better. It's not just a clear liquid. All right, now I'm going to pause the video while I pour the rest of the rubbing alcohol because it's kind of a slow process. All right, and we're back. So now I've got 5 distinct layers here: corn syrup on bottom, then the Dawn dish soap, then the water with its bluish tinge, then the vegetable oil, and then the rubbing alcohol. And last but not least, the 6th liquid is the baby oil. Baby oil has a density of about 0.8 grams per milliliter. So this should float on the rubbing alcohol. And again, I'm going to take it slow. Haste makes waste. And I got a nice clear layer of baby oil on top. So I've got 6 distinct layers here.